Welcome back to the Hometown Hustle. In today's episode, we sit down with Manny Velazquez of House of Glory, the hottest new artisanal cafe in Grants Pass.
That's right. Manny and his family moved here from Miami, Florida, and took a big risk by opening up a shop downtown in a pandemic, especially since he was doing floral before he started making desserts.
Hey, flowers to desserts.
That's right. Either way, you guys, it's going to be a great episode. Hope you enjoy it.
Welcome to the Hometown Hustle, a podcast showcasing small business owners and leaders who are making an impact here in the Rogue Valley. Come join us as we go one-on-one with some of the most inspiring people that call Southern Oregon their home. Now, here's your hosts, Daniel Buffano and Michael O'Coin.
What's up, Manny?
What's up, brother?
Thank you for being here, man.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, really cool. You are here because, like we were just talking about, Michael went down to your place and tried some of your gelato. And he said it's amazing. And then I went down there and tried your gelato, and I also thought it was amazing. And then, we got to talking a little bit. And next thing you know, House of Glory is the hottest thing in Grants Pass.
It's crazy to hear that.
Seriously? Am I wrong?
No, 100%. 100%.
No, it's just everybody's talking about it,
Yeah.
Yeah. We go down to lunch on G Street quite a bit, and we started walking by your place and just like looking at it and like the gold trim on the outside of the building, like the navy blue, which is like our branding and stuff too. But I was just like, damn, that looks awesome. So
That's crazy.
It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. For us, it's like, man, we put in so much work, to see people even notice it. It's like, man, it's amazing.
Oh yeah, no, it came on pretty heavy. Yeah, no, it was cool to have an addition, and I think we all respect like the artisanal aspect of it, right? Just not another ice cream shop per se,
Correct.
But the artisanal, and I think we can all appreciate that, the handcraftedness and the quality of ingredients, and it all comes through.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, while we're on it, why don't you just tell us about House of Glory and kind of like what your vision was for it and all that kind of stuff, and then we can kind of back up. And
so it was a process to get to even the name, the concept, everything. It was a whole series of events that led there. But I guess the whole idea for us was, why were we Grants Pass? We had no idea.
Yeah, why did you come to Grants Pass? Let's go there.
I think that's the best way. Yeah. Really, we were looking for a small town, right? Mm-hmm. We had that mindset for years before we even decided to finally make the move, right? Yeah. So we had a couple people who made that move out of Miami, right? Myself, I was born and raised in Miami. My wife moved there when she was 5 from Colombia. Mm-hmm. And so she was raised in Miami as well. But she wanted to experience a small town and be around nature and mountains. We almost moved to North Carolina. That was like our main contender. It was 12 hours away. Yeah. It wasn't too far from family and friends. It's
pretty similar too. Yeah.
In a sense, yeah. Yeah. It's close to the coast, East Coast. It has that East Coast vibe mixed with, kind of feels like here.
Got the trees and
the same mountainscapes, the same valley.
I've never been. So.
Yeah, no, that's pretty similar.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. Sometimes I'm a little shocked. It's like almost very similar to this valley. Yeah. Obviously I think the people is the main difference, right? There's a lot of people that moved from Miami to North Carolina, so it became like a mini Miami in a sense, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of people escaping the hustle and bustle and the rat race.
Yeah.
But basically what the chain of events that really led to us moving here was having a daughter, right? Mm-hmm. As soon as we had a daughter, our whole reality just shifted, right? We were like, wait, what's the crime rate like in Miami? It was like things we never looked at before. I'm like, I've been here 35 years, never even thought about the crime rate.
Yeah, haven't you ever seen Dexter, Manny? Come on. Yeah. Got some psychos in.
Yeah, out of nowhere, I'm like reading the newspaper, never even thought about reading the news or thinking about it. And I was like, wait, is how many people murdered today? It was like alarming, and then started looking into my area. What kind of crime is happening in my area, right? Mm-hmm. Wait, I don't want to be here. It was like both of us were like, man, we don't want to raise her here. And she's depending on us to protect her and make sure she has a good upbringing. And obviously leaving family is hard. It's always hard. But I think in the process, the main thing was that we got saved. We weren't Christian. Mm-hmm. We never believed in Jesus, per se, right? We believed in a higher being, but never Jesus. And I think getting saved was like that radical change, right? Mm-hmm. And then immediately after, like 2 weeks after, the pandemic hits.
Wow.
So it was like really striking to get hit with a new faith and a new way of looking at the world and life, but at the same time being hit with something that you have no control over, right? It was like people that I knew were immediately getting sick. I was in the healthcare field for 10 years, so I knew people who were firsthand responding to these things. And we lost our business. So we used to own a flower shop, and we actually ran it from home. We dedicated a whole space of our home to just doing floral events. So we lost it all. And in the process, we're like, man, if there's ever a time to restart, it's now. You know, like this felt like a reset season. Like everybody was forced home, and we're just home with our baby. At the moment, she was like 6 months. And we said, man, this is a calling for us to get out of here. And the defining moment was actually my mother-in-law came in one day and said, have you guys ever thought about just getting out of here? And we're like, yeah, of course we have. She's like, I think it's now. Yeah. And then immediately after, she's like, but don't worry about forget what I'm saying. You know, just you guys can make your own decisions. And we're like, no, you just made it, you made it clear to us that you're like an answered prayer. Like we should get out of here. And then our friend moved to Rogue River at the exact same time from Miami. Yeah. And he said, hey, come check out Southern Oregon. I think you guys are going to love it here.
Why did he move to Southern Oregon?
He wanted to be closer to his daughter. So
who was over here?
Yeah, who was over here. Yeah. Yeah. So it all kind of like, it was like a series of events that got us to checking out Grants Pass specifically. Yeah. And I actually, when I came to visit, came by myself and I stayed in Grants Pass and I just started walking the streets and I was like, man, this is beautiful. This feels like Hallmark movie. It's like stuff that I watched on TV growing up, but never experienced firsthand. And when I saw the little G Street, I was like, this looks fake. Like, it's like something like storybook is what I felt like. Yeah. And then I FaceTimed my wife. I came by myself. I was FaceTiming her and showing her the street. And she's like, whoa, those are flower baskets? Is that really all brick? What year is that building? Like, she was freaking out. And she's like, I love it there. It looks so beautiful. So she's like, if you feel convicted that that's where we should be, let's get out of here. Wow. Right on. Yeah. So it was a lot of weight on my shoulders because she wanted me to decide, right? Where was our family going? Yeah. So it was, but I felt like God told me, this is your town. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. That's deep.
It is deep.
It is. Yeah. And I was like, I hope I wasn't wrong.
Yeah. Well, gosh, I mean, with the success that you've had now, I mean, it's got to feel like it's.
Yeah. I think every single day I realize that voice I heard inside was truly God. God did tell me, come here. And that dream that I had of owning my own shop, right, was going to come true, which is something that I've always wanted. I've always wanted to have my own space, basically. Yeah.
So you were in the healthcare field with radiology, and then you were in flowers. I mean, Cuban American, so obviously, like, the culture and the food is a big part of your.
It is.
Yeah. And so, I mean, why food? Why the food and beverage industry?
So it's interesting. I think that working in healthcare made me realize I loved helping people. Right. I loved being one-on-one with people, and showing my love and my gratitude towards helping individuals was like so highlighted in the healthcare field. Like every time I went to work, I wanted to be the person that shifted their attitude, that made them feel hopeful towards the medicine they were receiving, towards the medication, whatever it was. I just wanted to make sure that they knew that I cared, right? That was like my mission there. So my love for people was like very developed in healthcare. Then once I got into florals, it was really like my first creative project. It was like, okay, I know I have this creative side of me that I want to express, and florals was just something that came natural to me.
Yeah. Were you like an artist before? I mean,
no. Just, my parents were so confused. They're like, you played football your whole life. What do you mean you're doing flowers? Like
you're gonna build bouquets?
Yeah. My dad's like, are you serious? He was a little shocked. Yeah. But it was like, I don't even know how to explain it. I would see something and I knew what colors had to go with it. I knew how to put it together. I knew immediately, like, if I saw something bad, I could tell you why it was bad. Oh, the color composition is bad. And I knew how to put it together, and it was like natural. I never studied it, never went to art school or design school or anything. It just came to me. Yeah. So it was something that I kind of kept hidden, And of course, growing up with two older brothers and a dad who was like in the military. My dad was in the military in Cuba. He was very strong, manly man. We grew up, we all played football, Yeah. So it was like the last thing I was going to tell him was, hey, I'm going to go make a flower arrangement, Yeah. So I think that was just a creative project. And then now it's like, my parents had a Cuban restaurant when I was growing up. So I saw them dabble in the whole, like, expressing the culture through food. My mom made the most amazing desserts growing up. So it was like, my household was always filled with desserts, right? And then my brother took that path as well, and he owns 2 restaurants in Miami right now. And he's a huge inspiration, like food wise. So when we came here, I was like, I want to bring the culture. You know, I realized there's a lack of the food that I grew up eating. You know, so I was like, how do I bring that in a way where it's tasteful? People want to come to us, and it doesn't like we're not overpowering it, but we're bringing a flavor and a flair that's different. That's from Miami, basically. Yeah. And then my wife being Colombian, which Colombian cuisine's out of this world. And there's no Colombian food here, you know. So we're like, how do we bring that as well, little by little, and introduce the flavors, which is mostly passion fruit that they really focus on. But it's like, how do we emphasize that in here and bring it in a way where people actually accept it, and it's not like an overpowering of the culture, right? Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, did you do a lot of like cooking and stuff when you were a kid, like helping your mom with those desserts or anything?
Nothing. No, I just ate them. I just knew I liked them, right? And but I feel like it was natural. It was like in our blood, basically, you know, because my mom would always say the stories of like when she was pregnant, there was specific desserts that she ate. And then we ended up liking those desserts. Like each one of us has a specific dessert that we really, really like. Yeah. And it's because she ate most of that when she was pregnant, right? Yeah. So like arroz con leche, which is rice pudding. Mm-hmm. My mom ate that with all 3 of us, so we're all obsessed with rice pudding. Like we just smell it and we're like salivating, you know?
Rice pudding is so good.
Yeah. One of my favorite too.
Exactly.
And my mom did not eat that while she was pregnant with
me. And then for me, it's like tres leches, which is, right? The tres leches is one of probably my top favorite. And she only ate that while she was pregnant with me. Mm-hmm. So it was like, now I know why I love it so much, you know? Yeah. It was like that smell does something to me, you know? Yeah. Yep. So I think that's like the main thing that really highlighted desserts in my life was just my mom was a natural chef, you know. It was like it was in her.
So I mean, a lot of tinkering for you. I mean, was it you know just you just started making stuff and it was, or did you have to like, how much growth was there with that?
You know, I felt like it came kind of natural. Yeah. You know, kind of like the flowers. Mm-hmm. Like there wasn't like this intense effort. It was like just my love for the culture and the food and and also how it looks, right? One of the things that we wanted to focus on is for it to feel like an experience, right? So how do you make that happen? Well, the presentation, right? The type of plates I use, the way it looks, the colors, everything. We want to, and there's so much more that we're going to bring out that I don't want to.
Well, you're one of the few places where your plates you don't want to throw away.
Exactly.
You look at
so many people take them home. Yeah. They're like, "Is this disposable?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a palm leaf. It's a pressed palm leaf," and they're like, "Oh, I want to take this home." You know.
Yeah. The to-go box you gave me with the sandwich I had a couple weeks ago, I was like, damn, I opened it up. Like, nothing ever looks good to go. And I opened it up, I'm like, geez, this thing looks amazing.
And that's that we're just getting started. I have so many ideas of presentation-wise. Yeah. But we're kind of like rolling with it little by little. You know, we just finished our, I guess, our full menu, but we haven't even released it all just because we don't want to overwhelm people.
Yeah, testing it.
Yeah, there's so many people that walk in already and they're like, what does this word mean? You know, where does this come from? Like, I've never even heard of this. Yeah. So I didn't want like 50 things I'd never heard of.
Yeah. You know, and you've been really responsive, like on your guys' social media and interacting with the community and stuff like that. You know, I remember when you went through your phase, like, you know, what gluten-free stuff to do next, right? And you guys came out like every day with like a little new teaser or tester or something like that. So, you know, listen to what people want. I mean, it's been great.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. You posted the gluten-free carrot cake donut the other day with that cream cheese frosting.
Yeah.
I didn't get down to the shop, dude. I was like up here drooling looking at that thing. I was like, damn, I love carrot cake.
Yeah, so does my wife. She was hurting on for that one.
Yeah. There's well, I went in there the other day and I'm like trying to eat better because, you know, you just eat like garbage sometimes. And I like go down there and I'm like looking at your menu like, damn, dude, that looks so good. Yeah. And I was like, all right, I'll get the veggie sandwich and get the turkey on it, right? And then I get it in my mouth and I'm like, oh man, this can't be good for me. It was so good, dude.
It is, except for the buttery croissant.
Yeah,
right?
The buttery croissant.
Yeah, 3 pounds of butter in the croissant.
And that mozzarella cheese, bro. My gosh.
Fresh mozzarella, yeah.
So good.
Yeah. And those are all like risky moves, right? I mean, I was talking to my brother he's been in the food industry for like 25 years. Mm-hmm. And he's like, fresh mozzarella and a croissant, like that's a risky move, you know? And he's like, if you don't do it right, you could ruin the croissant. So everything has been kind of like a tester, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do we make it work? Because I know fresh mozzarella is better than, you know, sliced, processed, sitting on a counter. So we're like, we want to bring that freshness, but how do we make it all work together? You know? And I realized that the Valley loves croissants. right?
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere you go that sells croissants, they're sold out within the first 2 or 3 hours of being open.
Yeah.
Right. So we're like, what if our whole menu is croissants, right? And people are loving it. You know, it's just like they're blown away. You're like, wait, you have croissants all the time? Yeah, we have croissants all the time.
Yeah.
They freak out.
So super good.
Yeah.
So who's like, what role does your wife play with this? Remember, this is being recorded, so you know, just be careful what you say. Like,
so the funny part is that my wife is the number one reason why I've expressed my creativity, 100%. Like when it comes to interior design, when it comes to creating floral arrangements, when it comes to everything about the shop, like she's my inspo because she literally has told me, I love that you're creative. I want to see that side of you. You know, don't hide it. I don't want you to pretend like you're too macho for that, you know, which is, I've never heard that before, you know, usually, and especially in the Hispanic culture, it's like, oh no, you man up, you know, make sure you look like a man at all times. And she's been like, no, that's what God made you to do. Like, if your mind is creative, be creative.
Don't suppress it.
Yeah, don't suppress it. Don't hold back. Let it all come out. So she's been like a huge inspiration. And she makes all of the Colombian style desserts herself, right? And that's something she never even did until the last year ago.
Yeah.
And she just started working with it, and she falls in love with it because she realizes, like, man, I grew up eating this, you know? My grandmother knows how to make this from scratch. Like, she could teach me, right? And that's another cool thing. Like, the whole family has come together, right? People have flown from Colombia to be here with us just to experience this new thing we're bringing to the valley, right? So her grandmother came and spent a week here just making desserts for us and showing us how to make them.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the old school, when like nothing's processed. Like if you need a lime, we're gonna slice the lime up. We're not gonna use like, you know, extracts or anything like that. She's like, no, I'm gonna show you the way I know how to make them, right?
Yeah.
So everything is like very specific, but you get that good flavor.
Oh, yeah.
And and she just flew from Colombia literally 2 weeks ago for that. So. And we have family like that. Like my dad came down and he's like, let's talk about the pork you're going to start making, right? And then my father-in-law too, he's like, I want to be on FaceTime with you the first time you make that pork. I want to make sure you do it the Cuban traditional way.
That's a family affair, man.
Yeah, so everybody's like, the whole family is so excited that we're representing the culture here, right? Because, we're all American and we're proud to be American, but how do we bring that flavor that's only going to add to your life? It's not going to take away, right?
Yeah.
100%.
So the family has really come together, just excited that we're even doing this, which we would have never imagined, you know?
Yeah.
Or like my wife and I were like, really? Like, you know, we all went to college and we got degrees to end up selling like food that we grew up on, right? Like it kind of felt weird. Like, you know, our parents probably imagined us to be like doctors or lawyers or something. And that's why they sacrificed it all and came to this country. But they're so proud that we're actually doing something we love and we're interacting with people and, you know, we're entrepreneurs and they're so excited. Yeah. Yeah, which is great.
Since we're on the topic of this food, let's try these things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What, did we get something?
Yeah. He brought us some stuff. Check this out.
We got snacks?
We had moonshine a couple weeks ago, and now we got snacks, Michael.
Okay.
Manny, tell us what we're eating.
Okay, so these are called Alfajores. These are actually from Argentina. So Miami being a melting pot, we grew up eating food from all over the place. So this is a soft biscuit cookie top and bottom. It has a lemon zest in it. And then the center is a dulce de leche, which is a Hispanic style caramel with coconut shavings on the outside.
That doesn't suck at all. That's pretty good.
It's so good.
And it's so soft. And actually, it's something that ages well as well. So you could actually put this in a Tupperware and eat it like 2 weeks from now. And it somehow, some way gets better. It's like the dulce de leche ends up merging with the cookie and it just becomes even tastier. So it's a perfect treat. In Argentina, they use it as a treat for their, what they call siesta, which is like a break from their day. They go home, they have a cup of tea or coffee. They have one of these, right? And then they go back to they carry on the rest of their day.
And the flavors are just so subtle. Like you just barely get, I mean, they're just all balanced really well.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can actually, I mean, I can't get this on. I can actually see the lemon zest in the cookies.
Right.
It's right. Yeah.
So one of our bakers now, she's actually from Argentina. And she's bringing also her culture, right? Which is great because we grew up on Argentinian food. And like,
where'd you find her at? Don't say Argentina either. That's a stupid question.
She just walked into our shop. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and she was like, she wasn't even looking for work. She was buying a coffee and a dessert. Wow. And I realized that she spoke Spanish. I started talking to her in Spanish. And I said, do you need a job?
Sorry, do you want one?
No, I'm okay. I think I have enough of those. My wife's so proud of me right now for not eating one.
Yeah, well, I'm going to leave these over here because my wife will not be proud of me if I don't bring any of these home. So we'll have to split these up. Take one to Sammy, too.
Those are delicious.
Yeah.
No, that is outrageous. Did you try your coffee, Michael?
Yeah, I did. It's pretty good. I had their affogato there the other night.
Did you?
Yeah. Good way to finish the night right there.
It is.
With the gelato?
Oh yeah.
Sorry, excuse my language. Nice, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Silence.
Yeah, man.
So that's called a cortadito. Cortadito, which means a small cut.
Okay.
Right. So you're cutting the coffee with a small amount of milk.
Okay.
Right? So that's the whole idea, right? You're cutting the caffeine with a small amount. So like a latte has a lot of milk.
Yeah. It's like a cortado, right?
Like a cortado, but even less milk.
Even less milk. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So cortadito is just a small pour.
Yeah. That's what I usually get. So,
Yeah.
And then the Cuban way is you mix it in with a little bit of a sugar paste.
Yeah.
Right. But I actually do it with dulce leche, which is in the center of that cookie.
Mm-hmm.
I put a little bit of dulce leche at the bottom, let the espresso fall into it. Then I mix it.
Okay.
And then I put a little bit of steamed milk and a little bit of foam.
Brendan, you're in trouble, bro. If you're watching this, you're in trouble bad.
I think he knows.
Yeah, he knows. It's all good. It's all love, man. Yeah, this is nice. So
I'm glad you liked it.
Actually, I want Brendan to get their vanilla gelato to serve on their affogatos.
yeah,
So you guys are like cross pollinating a little bit.
That would be nice. Yeah.
yeah.
You know.
That would be nice.
Brendan's good people, man. I know you know him. So
Oh, I love Brendan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jordan. Oh man, I love them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We have a pending meeting. So Brendan, call me.
All right.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Tell me about your Cuban heritage. You kind of gave me a brief story about your dad, kind of what he went through and all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of curious as to how that all worked out, if you're willing to share.
Yeah, of course. So if you look at my lineage, I'm probably more Spaniard, right, than I am Cuban, right? So my grandmother on my dad's side, she's actually first generation Cuban. So her whole family was from Spain, from an area called La Coruña. And then they all migrated to Cuba, and that's where my dad was born, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my dad was a child of 9, but he
Wow.
was the first boy. So they had 2 girls, and then the rest were all boys. So my dad being the first boy, when Castro came into power, as soon as he turned 15, he was forced into the military. So that's just one of the rules he put into play, right? All male must be a part of the military. Now, the bad part is that the way that they do their military is that they actually force them into a private island to do all their training, right? And it's basically like boot camp from hell. Like it's either like survival of the fittest, literally. So, but the whole idea behind it was actually to separate the males from their family. So take away their actual roots in the family lineage and give them an empowerment with government. So the whole idea is, how do you brainwash these men to actually care more about the government than they do their family?
Communism.
Be good soldiers.
Yeah. So the whole idea is communism, right? So how do you separate them? And then later on, he actually moved it to 9 years old. So 9 years old had to start going to what they call casa de campo, which is like a house in the middle of the woods. And you actually did free labor for the government. You'll pick cotton, you'll do sugar canes, you did free labor. But the whole idea was breaking family values, right? Mm-hmm. So my dad was actually left behind because his whole family leaves because of this, right? They're like, wait, all these boys are going to end up in the military if we don't get out of here. So they actually left Cuba, and they left my dad behind with one of his sisters, right? So my dad comes out of the military at 18 years old, right? He serves his 3 years, which is what was mandatory. But at that time, Cuba was going to war against Angola, right? Mm-hmm. So my dad refuses to go to war, so he hides. So he's like convicted right now because he's hiding from his duty, right? So he hides for like 6 months, and when they find him, he gets into a fight with the actual police guards. Mm-hmm. Because of that, they give him 30 years in prison. Mm. So he gets sentenced 30 years. He's on the island basically by himself with just his sister, right? And he's 18 years old, so he thinks he's going to die in this prison, right? So his uncle ends up becoming a general with high rank and tells him one day, hey, if you want to get out of jail, you better fall into line, right? Like, you better become basically like us, communist. That's the whole mindset. So he develops all the right lingo, He learns their anthem. He starts acting like them, talking like them, dressing like them. Next thing you know, they put him in like a work service. And then before you know it, he only served 7 years, and they pardoned 23 years of his sentence. So he's able to come out. And in the process of him being able to come out, he did like what they call like shared time. He'll have like a normal civilian lifestyle during the day, and then at night he had to turn himself into the jail cell, right? He meets my mom in that process. And my mom was actually engaged to somebody else, which is pretty interesting. Wow. But when she meets my dad, she's like mind blown. She's like, man, this is it. You know, the person I'm about to marry is a huge mistake. This is the man I want to be with. Mm-hmm. So they end up dating for a little bit. Mom calls off the wedding, obviously. And then my parents get married very quickly, like 6 months after they meet. So then my dad gets completely pardoned. And in the process, after they get married, my brother's born there in Cuba. And then my dad actually gets an access to a plane that's going to, being able to help him escape to Spain, illegally though, mm-hmm. right? So he says, I'm going to take this chance. My dad always tells me the story because he wants to show the type of lifestyle he was in, right? He said, all I had was $100 to my name. And I had to make a tie and hide the $100 bill in my tie because they would check you fully before you left the country. And if you had any money on you, that's the first thing they'll take. Mm-hmm. So my dad left the country with my brother, who was 2 years old, my mom, and he had a $100 bill in his tie. That's all he had.
Wow.
Yeah. No luggage, no nothing. Right? Yeah. So just leaves to Spain. And he's illegal. So he lives in Spain for about a year, just trying to find work however he can. And then my grandparents claim him in Miami because my grandparents and his whole family ended up in Miami. So they claim him. He comes to Miami in 1979.
Wow.
So that's like the first step into the United States. And then from there going on, he has 2 more kids, right? He has my other brother and then myself, and we're all 5 years apart. So the whole idea is now we're first generation American, right? Mm-hmm. But we're growing up in strong Cuban values, right? Mm-hmm. So the first thing is my dad's teaching me, like, this country gave me everything that I ever wanted, right? Mm-hmm. So he falls in love with the United States. He's like, man, this is life. This is freedom. This is what it looks like to live in liberty. We're going to honor this, right? So he wants to make sure that we all understand we can never let the United States fall into communism, right? So he puts this really hard, fundamental foundation into me of we're going to honor our culture, but we're going to love being American, right? So that's how I grew up. You know, I was like kind of torn. Like I was like, oh, I love this. I love the Cuban music. I love the Cuban food. Mm-hmm. But I feel so American, and I'm so proud to be American, right? Like that was like the mixture that I had in Miami. Yeah. So that was pretty cool for me.
Yeah. Neat. Yeah. So you've been here for a year and 4 months, right? Mm-hmm. And then House of Glory just opened up 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
Yeah. What was the first couple of days like?
Literally chaos. Yeah. We were trying to figure out, I guess, everything, right? That was the whole idea. So we said, we're not going to advertise this. We're not going to tell anybody that we're open. Literally, the only people who knew we were opening were like our neighbors within the street, right? Mm-hmm. We didn't want to tell anybody. We didn't put it on social media. We didn't do anything about it because I guess the whole idea was, let's make sure we know what we're doing. Right?
A little soft opening.
Yeah. How do we do a soft opening if everybody knows you're open, right?
That's not especially in Grants Pass. It's small. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what I started realizing. Like, I would meet people down the street and they're like, "Oh, you're the guy doing the construction on G Street?" And I'm like, "What? How'd you know?"
People are paying attention.
Yeah, people are watching, right? So I was a little worried about what if the POS system doesn't work properly? You know, what if the people we trained on how to make coffee make the wrong coffee? You know, like there's so many things that we're we're in a training process, and I just wanted people to trickle in. That was the whole idea. Let's just let them trickle in. And
didn't
that's
exactly
not what happened. Yeah. And I think what we realized quickly is that we opened Thanksgiving week, right? There was a lot of out-of-towners, right? They have no idea if I'm brand new or been there 5 years. They're just walking right in, you know? And people were coming in and ordering a whole bunch of stuff off the menu, and we're like, wait, we've never done, 6 things at a time. You know, it's like, how do we gonna, make this all flow and work properly? So we were actually extremely busy that first week that we were open, and it was a blessing. But at the same time, there was mistakes, right? Because you're trying to figure it all out, and even the ticket system. How are we gonna pass the ticket to the back and make sure that they understand all the details and how to get it done right? And at first, I was writing all the orders by hand. right? Quickly realized that wasn't working, right? So we had to even change the flow of the ordering system. So it was tough, but I think it built up to realizing quickly what needed to be fixed, which was pretty cool. Like, it didn't take us a month to figure it out. It was like day 3, we already knew what was absolutely not working and what needed to change.
Yeah, that would have been bad to develop a routine and like get comfortable in that routine, and all of a sudden like business starts blazing, and then you got to redo it all over again. Correct.
Yeah. The cool thing was that people understood, right? We started talking to people and telling them, hey, we just opened like 2 days ago. And people were freaking out, like, really? I'm not from here. I'm just visiting my family for Thanksgiving. And that's where we got most of it. I feel like that first week, it wasn't a lot of locals. It was actually a lot of people that were just visiting from out of town. And they were just walking down G Street, right? And they just walked right in. Yeah. So I guess like our plan didn't really go as planned, but it worked out.
It worked out. Yeah.
It worked out.
Yeah. And then like, I mean, my experience is, I mean, the last time I was in there a couple weeks ago, your whole place was full, and it was like 1:30 in the afternoon. Yeah. You know, I mean, it's slamming right now, right?
It is. Yeah. The interesting part is that everybody told me January would be my worst month. Right.
Oh, wow.
Which is not the greatest thing to tell somebody who's about to open a business, right? But it's kind of like what the norm of businesses are experience a low in January, and then everything kind of starts picking back up in February, right? And I think it's mostly because the holidays are over, right? Holidays are over. People are not out as much.
Getting back into their routine.
Some people go on diets, right? They start working out more, so they're not out eating. So with the advice of fellow business owners were like, hey, January's going to be tough, you know? So we were like, all right, well, I guess that would be the month that we would focus on marketing and advertising and building up our social media. And
it'll be slow.
Yeah, it'll be slow. Maybe we don't need as much staff. Maybe we could just take pictures of product, you know? Like, we had this whole idea, and it's actually been the busiest, right? So every single day is busier than the day before, and every week beats out the numbers from the week before. So we're like, okay, well, there's something happening here, you know? And as I talk to people, they're like, well, more people know who you're here, right? And our social media from day one was kind of like non-existent, right? We started off with no social media. It just said coming soon. We had coming soon for about 3 months, right? We were like, that was already there from June or something. And we had like, I think 89 followers when we first opened our shop, right? And we have 1,500 followers now. So it's like, it's really taken off, you know, and it was just natural, like people's word of mouth. Like, I think it was like day 3, we had like 500 followers. And we're like, why? Our social media has nothing on it. You know, like
Trevor Hanks reposted you.
Yeah. Yeah. But then we realized there were certain people that walked in who recommended us, and then the word spread quickly, right? Yeah. And then before you knew it, now we're really being slammed by locals coming in and saying, hey, I saw you on social media.
Yeah, I see you on like people's stories all the time.
Yeah. And that's what I'm hearing. You know, I think that's one of the most common testimony is people coming in and saying, man, I can't stop seeing you on social media. Like, you're all over Facebook, all over Instagram, and it's not us doing it. You know, it's the people who come in and repost it.
Yeah. Besides, I mean, obviously we talked about the quality of your food. What do you think separates you from other businesses? Or
I think the main thing is, you know, besides the ingredients, right? We're making sure everything that we're buying is organic, non-GMO. We want to make sure it's like top ingredients. We want to make sure we could feed it to our family. That's one of the things that my wife and I talked about. Like, if we don't feel safe with our 2-year-old eating it, then we shouldn't be selling it to somebody, right? Like, I feel like that's like our main thing is like that integrity, making sure that everything we sell is top notch. We don't want to sell anything that's going to make you sick or bad quality or it's been processed, right? Not even the gelato. If you think about it, one of the things that we don't like about ice cream is you don't know the shelf. You don't know how long it's been on the shelf, right? Ice cream could be frozen for 6-7 months before you even taste it, right? Our gelato's so fresh, it could have been done the day before.
Well, you sell it so fast, it only lasts like an hour.
Exactly. and then we're selling so fast now that, you know, it might not.
Guava and cream cheese, by the way. You guys that are watching, guava and cream cheese for sure.
Yeah, that's my pride and joy, by the way. Yeah. I take a lot of pride in the guava and cream cheese. Yeah. But that's like a Cuban thing. That's why the guava cream cheese pairing, and then the Maria cookies, traditional Cuban stuff. So I thought it would work in gelato, and it definitely has. But yeah, so it's all fresh, right? Integrity in our ingredients, making sure it's fresh, making sure that your kids can actually have it, and you're not going to be worried it's processed or old or anything like that. But I think behind the main thing that my wife and I have always said is, how do we spread the love of God that's inside of us naturally, right? We can do it through food. So easy. Everybody's got to eat, right? Everybody loves good flavor. Everybody loves sweets, right? Very rarely do you meet somebody who hates sweets, right? But we love sweets so much that we're like, well, this could be the way that we express our love, right? We're going to make something that we truly love, hope people like it as well. And then in the process, through our customer service and the way we interact with people, we get to express the love that we're filled with every single day, which is the love of God.
Yeah.
So for us, it's like there's like a true mission behind it, right? And we've always said that we're going to use this space as a way to make it a gathering space for people to come into from the community. And then we're going to show them through our expression the love that we have inside.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, quote unquote, the way we spread the kingdom, right? And I feel like the Lord has put that heavy in our hearts. You spread the kingdom the way you know how to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody's going to look uniquely different in the way that they spread the love of God.
Yeah.
For us, it's through food.
Yeah. I mean, that was the most apparent thing for me when I first walked in. Is just my biggest pet peeve when I go to a restaurant is you walk in the door and nobody even says hi to you.
Oh yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
So, the first time my wife and I walked in there that night, you were there at the counter and it was just so welcoming and you just felt just so at home. That was the first thing I noticed even before I put the food in my mouth. So yeah, and that's awesome, man. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Customer service. It's not that hard. Yeah. It really isn't.
If you love people, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you should get out of customer service.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's what I always say.
Yeah. You have a place in this world. It's just not talking to people.
Just not dealing with people. That's so funny.
Michael and I just banter about this all the time. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
it's strange that those people end up in customer service, right? They're like always angry, always mad at somebody, but yet they're dealing with people all the time. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's cool though. But it is what it is. So, anyway, where do you see House of Glory in the future?
It's an interesting question because I never even saw this in my future, right? Like the House of Glory just happened, right? It was like this was a dream I had in Miami, right, to open up this shop, and it all fell apart during the pandemic. So this was a second attempt at it, and I wasn't even sure if we were going to open. It was kind of like, all right, well, I'm going to pour it all into it again, like I did it before, and hope for the best, right? Mm-hmm. But this time I was walking with a specific mission in mind. Okay, I know God wants me to open here. I know it's going to be called the House of Glory. I know I'm going to spread the kingdom this way and love people this way. Now, is it all going to work? I have no idea. You know, so many people around me were telling me this is not going to work.
Were you working in the meantime?
I wasn't.
No,
I was completely, since March of 2020. I hadn't worked. Mm-hmm. And my wife was like, "You're lazy." She just thought I was. And every time I prayed, I actually kept hearing like an audible sense of like a voice telling me it's time to rest. Mm-hmm. And every time I told her that, she thought I was nuts. She was like, "What? No, you need to go get a job." And she really did. Like at one point, she was like, "You need to get a job." But I told her like, "There's something happening. There's something happening." And I kept hearing towards the end of it, the reason why I want you to rest is because there's something that's gonna acquire,
and you're not going to get any rest.
You're going to acquire your energy. Yeah,
you're not going to get any rest. Better rest up, pal.
Exactly.
You open this place, you're going to be busy.
Yeah, and I didn't know what that was. Right at the moment, I had no idea what that was. And one of my questions being here in Oregon was like, why did I come here? Mm-hmm. I know it wasn't to not work and just be in like a home not doing anything. So I was like, okay, God, what do you want me to do here? Mm-hmm. And then this is something I tell everybody when they ask me about the name is. Well, I was worshiping one day. I was just literally singing and praising, and I saw House of Glory really big, like if it was bold writing. And I was like, "What does that mean?" I didn't even know what that meant. I just saw the words House of Glory, and it like something that stayed inside of me. And I told my wife, "Hey, what do you think about a business name named House of Glory?" Mm-hmm. She's like, "Oh, it's pretty cool." She didn't. She kind of like let it go. I said, "Okay," but that name just stayed in my mind. Then at the time, I was studying everything about merchandising and clothing, and I was like, man, maybe this could lead to like a branding of a clothing company. I started looking at hoodies and t-shirts and the process of making it and drop ships and what would it be the process to actually launch this. And I actually partnered up with a guy who used to work for Puma, and I was like, all right, well, he works with the NBA and Puma, and he's like, I can make you a whole clothing line. I was like, okay, perfect. But then everything started closing on me. Like all the doors started closing. That didn't work out with this guy. It kind of felt like the creativity wasn't flowing with the clothing company. So I was like, okay, God, why did you show me this name? Mm-hmm. What am I going to do with House of Glory? So I even played around with some logos. Like, all right, well, I'll make some logos maybe it'll come to me if I start messing with it, Mm-hmm. Nothing came to me. And one day we're just having dinner. We went to the Bohemian, walking down G Street, and I see the for rent sign on the front of the shop, and I'm like, huh, could it be? You know, like it was like, could it be that this is what you want me to do? You know, and then I see the price. You know, the lady put the price on it, the lady who owns the building, and it says the price on it, and I said, it must be a daily rate. You know, I was like, there's no way that's the monthly
Coming
rate.
from Miami, for sure. Yeah. Welcome to Grants Pass, brother.
I'm like, that sounds way too cheap, you know?
Yeah.
So the first thing I did was I called my dad, actually. I called my dad first. I said, hey, I just found this building, Main Street of downtown Grants Pass. This is the price. And he says, don't even think about it. Just sign the lease. I go, I haven't even told you what I'm going to sell yet. He goes, it doesn't matter. You can sell bubblegum. That's what he said. You can sell bubblegum out of that space and pay your rent. And I was like, okay. So I called the lady and I said, hey, I would love to see the space. At the moment, I had no concept yet. I was just like, I just want to see the space.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, cool, come inside. And we went in to see the building. I looked around and I said, this place would be great for like ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says, well, Blind George was here for 97 years and he actually had ice cream selling at one point from this space. And I said, okay, sounds cool. You know, so I looked around and I'm like, maybe it's meant to be, you know, the whole ice cream thing. And then I looked around, I'm like, I think we're going to make it work. And she's like, what do you want to do? Oh, we're not sure. You know, I was like, I'll send you like a proposal, you know, later today. So my wife and I started thinking about it and we said, well, what do we bring? We actually thought about bringing a franchise from Miami to Grants Pass. And then we spoke to the franchise company. They were excited. They were like, yeah, let's make it happen. We would love for you guys to represent the company in Oregon. And then as we were going through the process, they realized they didn't have the logistics team to be able to supply us something from Miami all the way to Oregon. So then that just fell apart, and we had already given a deposit on the space in G Street, and we were like, wait, what are we going to do with this space, you know? Mm-hmm. So I asked the owner of the building, can you give me a week? So that whole week I just spent it like praying and processing and trying to understand, like, what am I going to do? And then finally my mom calls me one day, and she says, hey, it's clear. Mm-hmm. You're going to bring your culture there. She's like, you're going to do you. Just do Manny and Zach. Forget about the franchise, you know. I actually think you guys should just, and to me that was like an answered prayer, you know, because I was like, you know, is this the right move or not? Am I gonna am I doing too much by doing this? So my mom telling me like, go ahead, you know, this is what I think you should do. Mm-hmm. And then I talked to my wife. We came up with a menu real quick. It was like real fast. We made a whole, but it was like 4 pages long. We had like all this product that we wanted to bring, and then she made a PowerPoint presentation, and she created like a slides of kind of tile we're going to use, the feel for the space, everything. Like she created like a whole bunch of things. A whole vision board, right? But it had a menu processed into it, a mission statement. It was like a whole thing, right? We showed it. The next day we asked for a meeting. We showed the owner, and she's like, man, this is perfect. Like, you guys are going to knock it out the park here.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let's roll with it, right? So I guess like trying to say what I'm going to look like 5 years down the road, I have no idea. Yeah. You know, like, this is bigger than us, obviously, right?
All I can say is I'm thankful you didn't bring a franchise to Grants.
Yeah.
No joke, right?
Yeah.
This guy that doesn't cook, doesn't know how to make food, wants to start a
just
clothing
knows how
company.
to eat it.
Just, yeah. God, that's amazing, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
No, it's been a great story. Yeah.
Yeah. How cool is that? Jeez. What's been your favorite part about the whole thing?
Definitely the people interaction and like how welcoming people are here.
Oh yeah.
I've been blown away. I mean, I would say the first few weeks, my wife and I cried a lot, but like happy tears. Yeah. It was like, man, they really want us here. Mm-hmm. You know, I've never experienced so many people saying, thank you for coming here. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being here. Like we were so thankful that you're here. Like, I was like, wait, what? I should be saying that to you for coming into my doors, you know? Like, usually people are like wanting to try to bring people to their business and thanking them for coming, right? Mm-hmm. But now I'm just bombarded every single day with people thanking me for opening a space. It's like, I'm just mind blown, right, by that. I feel like that welcoming where everybody's so, like, excited to talk to us, to get to know us, to try our food, to ask us about recipes, and they're so excited about everything that they taste. It's like, I could have never imagined that, you know? And I literally have people saying that they've prayed for people like us. We're like, what? You've prayed for us to be here? Like, and it kind of all makes sense, right? Like, you're like, okay, well, God convicted us to be here, but why did he bring us here? And now we're like seeing that process of people thanking us, loving us. And immediately so many friendships have been formed just because we opened our doors. Yeah. You know? it's just amazing. Like, I'm blown away by it. I can't believe the response from the community. And this is like what we wanted. You know, we wanted a small town feel that you could get to know people and really get to know them, not superficially, right? Which is something I was used to in Miami. It's like people are so fast paced and so caught up in their own world, and it's so materialistic that you forget about the people interaction. You forget about getting to really know somebody. You end up knowing people superficially, right? And here it's like immediately people are walking us in and bringing us in. And we even had a customer invited us to a New Year's party at their home, you know, and I was like, wow, you know, you realize like people are actually loving on us.
Man, they didn't invite you. They wanted you to cater it.
Yeah. And we did, actually. We brought a whole bunch of desserts. And
of course you did.
Yeah. Afterwards, I'm like, was that the plan?
Yeah, right.
Probably. Yeah. No, that's super rad, man. It's been really cool watching it just kind of happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's really neat.
Yeah.
And I mean, Blind George is legendary in this town.
I know. You
know, and Michael probably be better to say this, that like people are a little resistant to change around here. Would you say?
Yeah, you know? I'd say so.
So somebody,
but
like,
I think it's still welcoming. You know, I think it's just welcoming the right way. You know, I mean, somebody doing it right. Just like I said, thankful you didn't bring another franchise to town, right? It's like, you know, something artisanal and good customer service, and it's always been sought after here. You know, it's and well received, obviously.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I think that especially like the community that grew up here, right? They all want to tell me their stories about coming to Blind George's.
Oh yeah.
And my favorite part is that they honor that space, right? There's like a history behind it, and they have an emotional attachment to it, which a lot of them end up crying while they're saying the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I love is that they finish always telling me, "You've done such a good job here. I'm so proud that you honored this space," right? So there's like a feeling of like I did something that actually makes people feel excited about coming to Blind George's again, right?
Mm-hmm.
That old space.
Yeah, coming downtown.
Yeah, and being in there and talking about their stories. There's so many people that hang out there, and they tell me, I used to sit right here, and I remember coming through these doors and buying popcorn, and they have their stories of what it felt like to be in that space. So it feels so nice to know that I'm doing it justice instead of like they're like, oh, I wish you weren't here. You know?
We want Blind George's back.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, that's beautiful.
I think he's done a great job.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. No, I'm thankful. I mean, it's good to have a nice little shop downtown, and I've only tried the desserts so far, so I need to move on to something else on the menu. But
yeah,
what is this? It's like it's on the croissant, and it has obviously, I think it's got jam, like just turkey and jam and cream cheese. Is that right?
Yeah. So
it's like a little Thanksgiving thing.
Yeah.
What is that like?
So it's called the Lena Roos, right? Which is named after the woman who created it. And she's actually Cuban. So for 40 years, she served that sandwich at her restaurant in Havana, Cuba, right?
Wow.
And it was famous for that. It was a salty sweet, right? She used the cream cheese and the jelly, the strawberry jelly, and she put slice of adobo on her actual turkey. So it was like a really salty turkey mixed with the cream cheese and the jelly. It created like that perfect salty savory mix, right? Mm-hmm. And then there was somebody who came from, I can't remember if it was I believe it was the United States. He came, he tried it, he fell in love with it, and he's like, I'm gonna take this back to the States. And that Elena Roos kind of like blew up all over the place, right? So on the Thanksgiving side, they put like cranberry, right? You put cranberry or gravy on the turkey, right? You mix it all together, make like a Thanksgiving sandwich. So this is just a little different with the cream cheese and the strawberry, right? So it's supposed to be that perfect mix, but it's actually been really popular, right? And we tell people the story, right? People love to hear the story of like, this was actually brought from Cuba, right? This lady was actually successful off of just selling this one sandwich for 40 years, right?
Wow.
So it's pretty cool that we're bringing that little piece. And I grew up on this. So like my mom, instead of making me peanut butter and jelly sandwich, she'll make me an Elena Roos. Right? So I grew up eating that sandwich. It's like nostalgic to me.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Is everything on your menu like that? Like there's some kind of story or history behind why you serve it pretty much for the most part?
Pretty much, yeah. And then I think the other thing is like I said, Miami's such a melting pot of cultures, right? So I grew up eating a lot of Italian food, right? Like the gelato part, right? And I grew up where I knew gelato was better than ice cream, right? So like, at least for me, right? Like, there's this creaminess. There's no ice in it. It's like
a stretch.
Yeah, and then it's 50% less fat, right? So it's actually healthier for you, right? So there's always like this. When you saw a gelato spot in Miami, you're like, oh, it's gonna be good. You know, like you knew it was gonna be good right away. And they always had like these crazy flavors, and the presentation was so beautiful, right? It wasn't like just like a jar of ice cream, scooping it out, right? So it always looked really good. So I think there's kind of like a storyline behind each item, like why we chose that item, right? And why it means something to us. And I think that's the cool part, because then when I talk to people about it, they always tell me, you seem so excited. It's like, yeah, I love this item. You know, it's not like I just slapped it on there. You know, it's like there's a reason behind that item being there. So that's the cool part.
We lost our light, Michael.
Oh, that's okay.
We're close to the end. Damn, I'm a little pissed you're close today. So I'm getting freaking hungry, dude.
That's okay. We got some cookies to take home.
Sorry, Shannon, you're not getting any cookies.
So every Monday that we go to like clean and pick up or like organize for Tuesday, everybody thinks we're open. Because I have all the lights on, and everybody's trying to open the door and like knocking and like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, you need some shades or something.
Yeah, and there's a sign, you know, the sign says the hours.
People don't read signs.
Yeah,
So, but people should know it is Grants Pass. Sunday and Monday, nothing's open.
Exactly. It's my family time. Yeah.
But what business? I mean, you only been here a year and a half or so, but what business other than obviously your guys stands out to you in Grants Pass?
So I feel like there's two businesses that I really like that stands out, right? That kind of reminds me of home, I guess. I would say the 115 Boiler, for sure. They're like family style, the way that they serve, the feel inside the space, right? That you kind of feel like you're like in a little Italian spot.
Good customer service.
In New York, right? Kind of has like that vibe. Like I'm used to that. It feels very East Coast to me when I walk in there. And then Si Casa Flores, I think, is another that I've gotten to meet the family, got to meet the owners. And I've seen their love for their culture as well, which reminds me of like my love for my culture, right? And then the way that they're just kind of like spreading out, right? And it's all family operated, which is pretty cool, right? It makes me realize like, okay, they have that same hustle inside of them. They're all thinking like, how do we multiply locations and keep it within the family and not franchise it off, you know? So it's like this family that's really trying to really bring that culture and make it all different at the same time. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Right on.
Well,
it's food, man. I'm
just getting hungry. I am. I know. Well, Manny, tell us how everybody find you. Instagram, social media, that kind of stuff. Got your handles ready?
So Instagram is House of Glory GP, right? And then on Facebook, it's House of Glory Artisanal Shop and Café.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll share it all. Get it all going out there.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys.
Send it, Michael.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Hometown Hustle Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. And for more information or to connect with Daniel and Michael, check out www.hometownhustlepodcast.com. We'll see you next time.